Hello, my name is Elias Najemy, and we have made this DVD in order to help victims from this great catastrophe which has hit America, the Hurricane Katrina. And it's a DVD that you can use in order to free yourself from negative emotions, from shock, from this event. So this DVD is made for you if you're a victim of this horrible situation, or even for psychologists or psychiatrists or social workers or friends or family, if you would like to use this technique to help those in need. It can be used individually, and it can be used in groups. In fact, you can even play this DVD for a group, and the group can employ the technique as they watch, or an individual. Or you can learn technique and imply it to another person who needs help. It also can be used for any other form of shock or trauma, whether it be an individual event, such as rape or violence, or a group event, such as war, or hurricanes, typhoons, tsunami, earthquake, whatever it may be. An explanation of the theory about the technique will be given later. At this time, I'm just going to show you how to do it. If you want more information, you can get that information by watching the end of this DVD, or by reading my book, Free to Be Happy, with Energy Psychology, or a number of other books and videos available, both from us and from a number of sources of techniques for energy psychology, and even more specifically, Gary Craig's site, www.emofree.com. And this is a very important new discovery in psychology, which enables a person to get free from negative emotions quite easily and quite efficiently and quickly. And I hope that you will try this out. I myself had known of this technique for 20 years before I started employing it, and I had rejected it for those 20 years because I could not believe that it would be so easy for one to get free from long-standing and negative emotions. It's even easier to get free from emotions that have been created by an event which is in our recent past, such as this storm, this hurricane, or other major life traumatic events. It may take more time for people that want to get free from the effect of childhood experiences, traumas from the childhood, and one may need to do some kind of regression work to remember events of the past and then work on them. The technique is very simple. We focus on the negative emotions that we have about a specific stimulus. In life, it could be someone's behavior or something that has happened to us. In this particular case, we're going to learn to employ it on the negative feelings we may have about our lives being affected by this major catastrophe. That could be fear, could be shock, feelings of being overwhelmed, fear that it may happen again. We have maybe reoccurring dreams and memories of these horrible events. It could be fear of not being able to get our lives together again, economically, emotionally, professionally. Our home may have been destroyed, our business, we may have lost loved ones, which is the most horrible possible event. And we may need to employ this technique to get free from those unpleasant feelings so that we can get on with our lives and direct our energies in a more positive direction to recreating our lives. This technique was first discovered by Dr. Roger Callahan, and he developed a technique called thought field therapy, and then developed into a more simple and easily applicable system called EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques, by Gary Craig. And I have taken that and made it perhaps even simpler and altered it in some ways, but you will find all these techniques have a similar effect. So what we're going to do today is offshoot of the basic traditional EFT technique. So what do? You remember, or you bring to mind the negative emotion that you may be having in your life at this time because of this event or any other event which may be affecting you. And you focus on that event, and then you see the emotions that you have. It could be pain, it could be hurt, injustice, fear, maybe guilt or shame. It could be anger. And you focus on that specific emotion. You have to choose one emotion as you are working, and then you can work with the other emotions after you work through the first emotion that you choose. And you work on that emotion by tapping on specific acupressure points, which I'm going to show you now. And you tap on them while you are focusing on that memory, on that event, and the emotion. You're focused simultaneously on the emotion, which has to do with a specific stimulus or event. As you tap, this will change the flow of energy, because we're going to be tapping on acupuncture points, and this will cause the energy to flow differently and more freely in your body and mind, so that we get free from this crystallized energy field which is causing this emotion. Now, as I said, more about this theory can be seen at the end of this video or in my book or other books. So as we tap, we are changing our energy field reaction towards a specific event, and we are getting free from the negative emotion that we have, whether it be fear or hate or anger or bitterness or injustice or guilt, whatever it may be. So we're going to do 3 series of tapping on these specific points. Now, we start the technique first by doing what we call the correction of possible psychological reversal. That is, there may be parts of ourselves which do not want to get free from this emotion. For example, we may not want to be free from our anger at this time. Or we may not want to be free from our pain, from losing a loved one or our business. We may want to grieve, and that's perfectly okay. And if you're not ready, then just don't employ the technique. But if you are ready, and you believe that you have the right to let go of that pain, or to let go of that anger, or guilt. Maybe we feel guilt because we weren't able to save somebody. We weren't able to do something to prevent some harm to ourselves or from others. This first initial thing that we're going to do is to help us get rid of the possible resistance to letting go. Resistance to letting go of pain or guilt or anger or fear. And what do? We rub here on this, what we call the sore spot, a sensitive point, which if we go down from the Adam's apple about 7 inches and then about 5 inches, and about 5 inches to the left or to the right, doesn't really matter, we find an area where there are a number of lymph glands. And we rub there, and as we rub, we say, even though I feel, and we say the emotion, fear, anger, hurt, about this storm, about this hurricane, about losing my family, about losing my job, about losing my house, about nearly being killed myself, whatever it may be, even though I have this feeling about that, and I say specifically what is the cause, I love and accept myself. And we do that 3 times. Even though I feel, and we say the emotion about, and we say what the stimulus is, I love and accept myself. Then on the other side, we rub and we say, I choose, however, to be free from this anger, injustice, bitterness, shock concerning this event. And we say what the event is. I choose to be free. I want to be free. I deserve to be free. It's in my benefit to be free. We say any one of these phrases. It's in my benefit, or I choose, or I accept to be free from this, and we say what the emotion is, and we say what the cause is. And we do that 3 times. So the first 2 prerequisites to get free from any possible psychological reversal or resistance towards letting go is to accept and love myself even though I feel that way, that I can accept my feeling fear or anger or bitterness or pain, but also to choose to let go of it, to accept, to let go of it. These are the two prerequisites, accepting ourselves and accepting to let go. That's the first step. So actually the first step is to see how intense my emotion is. And you can do that by sort of closing your eyes and imagining the event, and then evaluating how intense your emotion is from 0 to 10. 0 means no emotion, and 10 means really intense. Okay? So you first check on how intense your emotion is, then you do this correcting for psychological reversal, and then we start this series of tapping. And that is done in this way, with both hands and all of the fingers, because our fingers have acupuncture points which are very important to be stimulated as we tap on the top of our head. So with all of the fingers of both hands, we start at the back of the top of the head, and this way, and we begin tapping down all this line. As we are focusing on this emotion, say this fear or this shock, or this feeling of weakness, and then here where the eyebrows meet the nose, the second point, okay? And third point here on the side, the temples, side of the eyes, we tap. And then here under the eyes, on the cheeks, the stomach point. And then above and below the lips, two very important points here for the governing vessel and the conception vessel. And then under the arms, about the level of the nipples, the spleen point, and then here at the under the collarbone, this top collarbone comes down, unites with the sternum here, and it's just in the soft spot here, underneath the highest bone and to the right or to the left of the sternum, and both. And we tap there, all the time focused on our emotion, and then we tap the two sides of the hands together, what we call the karate point. And that's one series of tapping. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 areas where we tap. And we're going to do that 3 times. And just get this energy moving all the time while we have ourselves focused on this emotion. I choose usually to close my eyes, but you can do otherwise if you like. And just be focused on that event and the emotions that are there. Just keep tapping and changing that energy while we are focusing on that emotion and event. And then to balance the energy, we do something which is a bit strange, and that is we tap at what's called the gamut point here, just between the last 2 knuckles here. And we do the following sequence, keeping the head straight. We look down to the right, down to the left. We make a big circle with the eyes, and then a big circle in the other direction. And then we do something strange. We do humming, and then we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then humming again. And that's one complete employment of this technique, this EFT technique, or this version of the EFT technique. This last aspect balances the energy by looking to the right, to the left, circle to the right, circle to the left, humming, which energizes one aspect of the hemisphere of the brain, and the counting, which energizes the other aspect, the other hemisphere of the brain. And we're creating a balance in the energy after changing the energy flow with the tapping sequence. So as I said, more theory can be gotten from the book or from the end of this. What we're going to do now is employ. Okay? And so if you would like, take a seated position, if possible your spine straight, and choose a specific experience or a specific aspect of your experience, because you may have had a number of experiences, things that you saw or felt or heard or learned later, and bring to your mind one that you would like to get free from, that you would like to be able to think of without emotional charge. Okay, so bring to your mind something which still has emotional charge for you. If you like, close your eyes, bring it to your mind, and see how much emotional charge it has for you now, and try to specify what your emotion might be. In order to help you, let's make a small digression here just for a moment. And let me just say that if you have any kind of serious history of psychological problems or are taking any kind of drugs for your mental health at this time, you should first ask your psychiatrist or psychologist if you can employ this technique. And that, of course, you have every responsibility for any results from it. I personally have not seen anyone harmed by the technique. I have worked with thousands of people, not hundreds, but thousands of people with this technique, without ever seeing anyone harmed by it. I have seen thousands being helped. But just in case, if you have serious psychiatric problems, you should check to see if you can do it. Secondly, I'd like to share with you some possible stimuli before we move ahead that may be bothering you. Fear or shock because the wave or the water or the flooding almost killed me. Pain or shock because the wave almost killed a loved one. Pain or grief or suffering, hurt, injustice or anger because you lost someone you loved. We might feel shame or guilt or weakness because we were not able to protect somebody. We may be fear or feel overwhelmed or anxiety or panic with the idea of continuing to live without a loved one that we have lost. We may feel injustice or pain or weakness or anger because our home has been destroyed, or our business has been destroyed, or our community has been destroyed. We may have fear of various diseases. We may be suffering at this time because we don't have water or electricity or food in abundance. We may fear that we may not be able to create a new home, a new business, a new life for ourselves. We may feel humiliation because we are now dependent on other people. We may feel guilt because we have lived and others have not. It's called survivor's guilt. And it's very real that I have lived, I have escaped, and others that I know have not. We may not know where to begin our lives again. We may feel overwhelmed. We may fear that it might happen again. We might feel that it's vain to try to do anything in our lives because it could happen again. We might feel that this is a rejection from God or a punishment from God, and we feel injustice or pain or rejection. We may even lose our faith. So let's do that again. Let's close our eyes again. I just wanted to give you some possibilities here of what might be bothering you. It could be something that I didn't say. Don't be limited to what I have suggested. Okay? So close your eyes again and bring to your mind a specific aspect of what you have been through, and just check your emotional intensity about that. How intensely emotional are you about that? And what is your emotion? Okay, you might want to write down on a piece of paper the intensity. It could be 10 or 9 or 8 or 7, whatever it is. Now let's start employing the technique. We rub here at the source point, saying, even though I feel, say your emotions, because, say why you are feeling that, what is the event, I love and accept myself. Do that 2 more times. Even though I feel, say the emotion, because, say the event, I love and accept myself. And 1 more time. Even though I feel, because I love and accept myself. Now on the other side, I choose to be free from this, say the emotion, because, say the event. I deserve to be free, say the emotion, because the event. It's in my benefit to be free from, because. Okay, now we're going to do the tapping, and as we do, just keep, if you like, have your eyes closed and keep focused on that event and the emotion that you have. If that emotion goes away, bring another emotion. And if all the emotions for that event go away, bring another aspect of the event. Okay, top of the head, all the fingers, including the thumb, coming forward, the eyebrow points, sides of the eyes, always focusing on the event and the emotion, the cheeks, above and below the lips, under the arms, always focused on the emotion and the event, collarbone point, and the sides of the hands. Okay, let's do that again. We're changing the energy. Top of the head, focus on the emotion, eyebrow points, sides of the head, sides of the eyes, under the eyes, above and below the lips, under the arms, changing the energy, changing the emotion, collarbone, sides of the hands. Let's do that one more time, 3 times we're doing it. Top of the head, coming forward, all the fingers focused on the emotion, the eyebrows, sides of the eyes, on the temples, under the eyes, on the cheeks, changing the energy, above and below the lips, under the arms, collarbone, sides of the hands. Very good. Now we're going to balance the energy. Tap on the gamut point, eyes down to the right, head is straight, down to the left, large circle with the eyes, and in the other direction a large circle. Now the humming, don't be bashful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Focus on that event, the stimulus that you had in your mind at the beginning, and see how much emotional charge you have. Is it the same? Is it more? Is it less? Is it much less? Just focus to see. Okay, now open your eyes. Now, either you had an increase in emotion, that can happen, or you can have the same intensity, or it could have gone down just a little bit, or gone down very much, or it could have changed. Maybe you have another emotion for the same event, or maybe even the event changes into something else which is more important to you. If you decide to change emotion or to change even event, you can do that if you like, but in the end it's good to go back and check where you are with the original event and the original emotion. Okay? So we're going to continue. If the original emotion is still there but it's gone down a bit, we can say remaining now. So even though I have this remaining, say what the emotion is, because, say the event, I love and accept myself. I am acceptable with that emotion. I can love myself even though I feel that way. Okay? Second time. Even though I feel, say the emotion, because, say the event. I love and accept myself. One more time. Even though I feel, because I love and accept myself. Now, on the other side, I choose to be free from, say, the emotion, because, the event. I accept to be free from, because. It's in my benefit to be free from, because. Okay. Now, if you have doing on the same emotion that's gone down, you can say remaining, otherwise you just work with that emotion. And if you want to close your eyes and just remember what happened and have that in your mind and focus on the emotion, all the fingers including the thumb, top of the head, and we come forward, eyebrows, sides of the eyes, cheeks, bottom, above and below the lips, under the arms, collarbone, sides of the hands. That's good. Let's do it again. Keep focused on that emotion, coming down, eyebrows, changing the energy, sides of the eyes, cheeks, above and below the lips, under the arms, collarbone, sides of the hands. One more time, changing the energy. Keep focused on that event. Top of the head, coming down, changing the energy, eyebrows, sides of the eyes, under the eyes, above and below the lips, under the arms, collarbone, sides of the hands. Now we're going to balance the energy. Tap on that point between the knuckles. Head straight, down to the left, right with the eyes, down to the left, large circle with the eyes, large circle in the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, close your eyes now. Bring to your mind that event and see how much emotional charge you have, what you are feeling. The feeling may change, it may disappear. You might even feel positive. You might see it differently. Okay. Let's do that one more time. If you're still with the same emotion and it's gone down, you can say the word remaining. That is, allowing yourself to let go, even if of that emotion. If your emotion changes, just then work with the emotion that you have. And if the event changes, work with the new event. But check them at the end to see if there's any emotional charge with them. Okay, so we rub saying, even though I feel some remaining, if it's remaining, I love and accept myself 3 times. Even though I feel, because I love and accept myself. Even though I feel, because I love and accept myself. On the other side, I accept to be free from, because. I accept to be totally free from, because. It's in my benefit and the benefit of all others, including my loved ones, for me to be free from, say the emotion, because. Okay, top of the head, focus on that emotion, that event, coming down, forehead, the eyebrows, sides of the eyes, keep focused on that emotion, under the eyes, above and below the lips, changing our energy field, under the arms, collarbone, sides of the hands. Again, top of the head coming down, eyebrows, sides of the eyes, cheeks, above and below the lips, under the arms, collarbone, sides of the hands. One more time. Top of the head, coming down, eyebrows, sides of the eyes, changing the energy field, cheeks, focus on that emotion, lips, above and below, under the arms, and collarbone, sides of the hands. Now the gamut point, head straight, eyes down to the right, down to the left, big circle with the eyes, big circle in the other direction, humming, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now close your eyes, focus on what was bothering you in the beginning, and see how emotionally charged you are, if anything has changed. Do you feel the same intensity? Do you feel something different? Do you feel better? Do you feel worse? What do you feel? From 0 to 10, how intense is your emotional state? Okay, now you can open your eyes again. It's very possible that your emotional charge has been diminished quite a bit. If you're experiencing that, don't feel strange. And it's very likely that it will stay that way, that you may have changed that way of reacting to what happened. If you're not feeling better, then you can keep employing the technique over and over again, perhaps for other aspects. Because sometimes we have to work through various aspects of an event. So what you can do is just tell the story of what happened. And telling the story of what happened, every time you feel an emotional charge about something you're talking about, work with that. And then when that has no more emotional charge, keep telling the story. And then when you come to the next part of the story of what happened that you feel emotional about, work with that, just as we learned now. And then when you discharge that, go to the next part. And you will see that gradually, as doing an operation, you will remove all the aspects of this negative emotion. Now I'd like to share with you another possibility, an additional aspect of this technique, and that is working with what we call choices. The choices concept was developed by Patricia Carrington, a co-worker with Gary Craig. She cooperates with him also, and her way is using EFT. And what we do is we create a phrase in which we say, even though until now I have felt this fear, or this anger, or this pain, or this guilt, I now choose to remember this, or to realize this, or to see things in this way, or to feel this, or to react in this way. We decide that we want to choose a different way of feeling, of believing, of reacting to this event. Now I would like to share with you some possible positive concepts that you might want to develop at this time in your life, and in such a way use this very negative and horrible event as a positive opportunity in your life. What are those positive beliefs? 1, I do have the power to overcome this and create my life. That is, even though until now I have been filled with anxiety about what I'm going to do, I now choose to believe in my power to recreate my life, to build my home, to build my business, to gather my family together, whatever it may be. Another positive thought, I did the best that I could during this event. For example, even though until now I have felt guilty or shameful that I wasn't able to save this or that, I now choose to realize that I did the best I could during that event. There was nothing that I could have done better. You know, there's a saying that hindsight is perfect. You know, when we look back at things, we say, well, I could have done this, I could have done that. It's worthless. We all did the best we could. Third, there is some reason why this has happened. I don't understand it, but I want to have faith, I have faith, that there is a reason why this happened. It's not a punishment, but it's an opportunity for growth. That if you believe that there is a plan, an evolutionary process for human beings, and if you believe that our existence here is for that purpose, for that evolutionary process, then we have to believe that every event in our lives serves that evolutionary process, pleasant and unpleasant. And so if you want to, you can choose to see this event as an opportunity by saying that there is some reason. I don't understand the reason. It seems horribly unjust to me, but deep down I have some faith that there is a reason why this happened. Another possible positive thought you might want to develop is that there is no death. There is only the departure of the soul from the physical body. No one dies. Only the body is discarded as the soul leaves the physical body. And thus the beings that physically may not be here anymore continue to exist, just as I exist, now on another spiritual realm. That may be a comforting thought, that these beings do exist, and we continue to feel love and connection with them, even though they are not in their physical body at this time. And if we like, we can choose to believe that they chose, as souls, to leave their bodies at this time. It may seem externally that they had no choice, but I believe that it was a soul choice to leave their physical bodies at this time. And it was our choice to stay. Another positive belief is that this is not a punishment, but just an opportunity to learn and to grow. And also another belief that each person's destiny is unique and personal. And thus there is no reason for me to feel guilt for surviving, or for being okay, or even for being happy today. My lesson is to become happy again. And that is for each person to decide. Can I accept being happy today? Maybe not. Can I accept being happy in a month? Can I accept being happy in a year? It's basically a personal choice. If we had total spiritual awareness, we could be happy at this moment, seeing everything as just an illusion. We're all going to die anyway. We are personally here, temporarily here, to learn through these experiences. I don't want to negate the horrible nature of this event. I understand it, and I personally would not like to go through it. I accept that and I recognize that. But the moment that it has happened, each of us is called upon to find the energy within us to see it as positively as we can and to move on in our lives. So let me show you how to use EFT with choices. What we do is we start by rubbing here. We say, even though until now I have felt pain, anger, bitterness, whatever it may be, guilt, I now choose to believe in my ability to deal with life, to believe in the divine justice of all these events, to remember that my loved ones continue to exist in the spiritual realm, whatever you choose to want to believe. And we do this 3 times. We say, even though until now I have felt, and you say the emotion, I now choose to remember, or to believe, or to experience, or to realize, and now you say your positive belief. You choose your positive belief. It could be something totally different from what I have said. It doesn't have to be anything that I have said. I now choose to believe, or remember, or feel. And here you fill in the way you want to believe, or perceive, or react to this event. And we do that 3 times. We don't have to do on the other side now, because our phrase incorporates accepting how we have been until now, and incorporates the acceptance change, because we say that we want now to perceive things differently. And then how do we work? We do one series of tappings, as we did before, on the negative, focused on that negative emotion that we had until now, and the event. And then the second series of tappings, we focus only on the positive phrase. And for this reason, once you have created your positive phrase, you have to make it a bit shorter. You create it, and then you make it into about 5 words, which encompass the essence of your positive phrase. That is, I feel totally capable. I am capable. I am strong. My loved one exists. I did whatever I could. It is 5 words or less which encompass that, so that you can focus on those 5 words and their meaning as you are tapping. And then on the third series of tappings, we alternate. We focus on the negative emotion while we're tapping here, and then we focus on the positive phrase or tapping here, on the negative emotion here, on the positive phrase here, on the negative emotion here, on the positive phrase here, on the negative emotion here, and on the positive phrase here. So what we're doing is we start out with the negative, we end with the positive. And by doing this, we are creating a connection, if you like, in the subconscious between this negative emotion and this new, preferable way that we want to perceive things or feel. And then we do the gamut series and we balance things out. Okay, now you may want to stop the video before you continue here and write down your phrase and then start up the video again, because we're going to do it now. So stop it if you want, or don't stop it, it's your choice. Have your phrase, and then after your phrase, which says, even though until now I have felt this way, I now choose to perceive things in this way. And then make it only 5 words, your positive phrase. And then when you're ready, we continue. So we're going to continue now with that. Close your eyes first and focus on the event that you want to work with, or the aspect of the event, and the emotion that you have. Choose the most intense emotion. Bring to your mind the alternative choice, the alternative way in which you would like to perceive this. What is your positive phrase? What do you want to believe or to remember? Okay, let's start. Rub the sore spot here, saying, even though until now, the until now is important. Until now, I have felt, say your emotions. I now choose to remember. What? What do you choose to remember? Or to believe? Or to realize? Say what you choose to remember. And say it again. Even though until now I have felt, I now choose to believe, to realize what? And one more time. Even though until now I have felt, I now choose to believe, to experience what? Okay. Now, when we're tapping, you focus the first time on the negative emotion and the event. So we start at the top of the head, we come forward, eyebrows, always focus now on that event and the negative emotions. Sides of the eyes, cheeks, above and below the lips, under the arms, collarbone point, sides of the hands. Now we're going to go a little more slowly now so that you can have time to focus on your positive phrase as we tap at each point. So we're tapping at the top of the head. Now bring to your mind your positive phrase that you want to believe or remember. Now come forward and say your phrase again mentally, tapping on your eyebrows. Now the sides of the eyes, repeat your positive phrase. Under your eyes, repeat your positive phrase. Lips. Under the arms, repeat your positive phrase. You may want to have your eyes closed. Collarbone point. Repeat your positive phrase, remember. And sides of the hands. Okay, now we're going to do it slowly again because you're going to alternate. You have to focus now, concentrate. Top of the head, the negative emotion. Eyebrows, the positive phrase that you want to remember. Your choice. Sides of the eyes, negative emotion. Cheeks, your positive choice. Lips, your negative emotion. Under the arms, your positive choice. Collarbone, your negative emotion. Sides of the hand, your positive choice, your positive phrase. Okay, now gamut series, hit that point there, eyes to the right, down to the left, large circle in the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now sit with your eyes closed for a moment. Bring to your mind the event. See what your emotional charge is. See what emotions you have. They may have gone higher or lower, same, or they may have changed to other emotions, or maybe the event changes. Focus on what you want to work on now. The remaining emotion, some other emotion which comes more strongly, and reestablish what your positive phrase is going to be. That may change, that may evolve. Your positive concept may evolve. So create that phrase in your mind now again. Even though until now I have felt, what is your emotion now? I now choose to remember or believe what? Or feel. Create your positive, your new choice phrase. And we're going to do this one more time. So rub the sore spot. Even though until now I have felt, say your emotion, I now choose to remember or realize or believe, what is it that you want to remember or experience? Even though until now I have felt, I now choose to experience what? Even though until now I have felt, I now choose to remember. Okay, let's do the tapping again, focusing on the negative emotion, all the fingers on the top of the head, coming forward, remember the event, eyebrows, sides of the eyes, cheeks, focusing on a negative emotion, above and below the lips, under the arms, collarbone, sides of the hands. Now we're going to move on to the positive phrase. Let's move more slowly. Top of the head. Remember your positive choice, how you want to perceive this, how you want to feel. Eyebrows, your positive phrase. Sides of the eyes, your positive phrase. Cheeks, above and below the lips. Under the arms, your positive phrase. Collarbone. Sides of the hands. Now remember, we're going to do alternating now. Top of the head, your negative emotion. Coming forward, eyebrows, your positive phrase. Sides of the eyes, your negative emotion. Cheeks, your positive phrase. Lips, above and below, your negative emotion. Under your arms, your positive phrase. Collarbone point, your negative emotion. Sides of the hands, your positive phrase. Okay, now balancing the energy, eyes down to the right, to the left. Make a large circle with your eyes. Circle in the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now close your eyes. Sit straight if you can and take a few deep breaths. With the help of your breath, straighten your spine, let your eyes be more relaxed, your body more relaxed, allowing your mind to relax. And bring to your mind the event that you chose to work with, or the aspect of the event which was creating emotional pain for you. And see what you feel now and how much. And bring to your mind the positive perception that you would like to have. Have in your mind simultaneously the event and your new positive perception of yourself, of life, of your ability to deal with this. And feel an inner strength. Feel the strength that is within you. There is an unlimited power within you. Feel that. And experience inner security. And the power to recreate your life. Experience the power, the strength to recreate your life. And if you can, visualize that. Visualize yourself recreating your life. And visualize yourself succeeding in that it's recreated as you would like it to be. Imagine your life and yourself as you would like it to be. Allow that positive feeling to increase. And allow yourself to feel that strength that is within you. And your ability to create your life. Now I'm going to count from 1 to 5. With each number you'll gradually come to the waking state. You'll feel quite awake and quite relaxed. 1, coming back. 2, 3, coming back. 4 and 5. You can open your eyes. I hope in some way you are feeling better now concerning whatever happened, that you're feeling stronger, more relaxed, more accepting, because acceptance is the first aspect of moving on. Accepting of what happened, accepting of what you feel at this time in your life. You can do this video over and over again. Having seen the beginning, now you can move directly to track 2 so that you can do directly the technique. You won't need to learn about it. And for more information, you can see what is beyond this point so that you can understand the theory behind it. You can also learn much from our site, which has an abundance of CDs, articles, and ebooks on this and many other ways of helping yourself. May God be with you. May you be well. Thank you. Okay, let me give just a little bit of background as to how I came upon this technique. Okay? I graduated from Worcester Polytechnic Institute in 1969, worked for 2 years as a chemical engineer, and then became disillusioned with life. I had done everything that society said I should do to be happy. A good job, moving up in the company, plenty of money, but I wasn't happy. And seeing the world around me and seeing that most other people weren't feeling very happy, I decided that I would dedicate my life to finding ways for people to be healthier and happier and more fulfilled. And that's what I've been doing for the last 35 years, going through all kinds of systems and techniques, analysis. I went through astrology, psychology, philosophy, religion, yoga, exercises, meditation, breathing, a wide variety of possible techniques which would create harmony in a human being. About 26 years ago, 27 years ago, I started a center in Greece, which now has a membership of about 3,000 persons. We have about 600 students that come each week. And we offer these techniques. But 3 years ago, I came upon the technique of emotional freedom techniques, which is what I'm going to show to you today, which I find much more effective at bringing immediate results but also lasting results on emotional and physical problems. And that's what I'm going to be showing you today. Now I want to tell you that I became aware of this technique about 18 years ago, it was 20 years ago, but rejected it. And I had this video showing the technique, video by Dr. Roger Callahan, and rejected it because it did not fit with my perception of reality. As far as I was concerned, it's impossible for someone just to tap on certain points and get free forever from a very serious emotion that they have, and an emotion that's been there for years. But I realized that I wasn't being scientific, and that if I really wanted to be a scientist, I had to try it out. And so I tried it out. And I tried it out on myself, and I tried it out on other people that were around me at the center. And now I've employed it on about 800 people, and taught it to about 1,000-something people in seminars, and it is incredible. The word incredible means you can't believe it, right? It's not credible, okay? And that's what it is. I mean, I still cannot believe the results that I and 20,000 other health practitioners, psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors, massage therapists, hypnotherapists, get from this technique, both on ourselves and others. I just returned from a conference, a 4-day conference, in which there are 170 health professionals who are using this technique with their clients, and the testimonials that we heard were just amazing. Okay? And the beautiful thing is that even though it's very quick, it does last. Okay? So, let me explain to you a little bit of theory first, and then I will show you the technique. Now you all have a page which shows this diagram here. Okay? The continuum of experience, beliefs, energy, emotions, and body. Now, this shows how our reality is created. The first step in the creation of our reality is the stimulus, what happens. Okay? Now, a stimulus could also be a thought. It doesn't have to be an event. An event would be that we win money, we lose money, someone gives us a compliment, someone criticizes us, our child does well, our child does not do well. Okay, so these are events which go into our mind and pass through the second box here, which is what we believe, our programming. So our reality is not so much the result of what happens as it is the result of what we believe. If the same event happens to all of us, each of us will experience that event in a different way depending on our belief system. And our belief system is a function of our childhood programming. It is the experiences we had until today which causes us to believe that a certain event is positive or negative. Now, how do we evaluate if an event is positive or negative? We have like filters or frames of reference which evaluate that event on 4 levels. Does this increase or decrease my security? Does this make me more secure or less secure? If it makes me more secure, I feel happy. If it makes me less secure, I feel fearful. Okay? Does this affirm me? Does this make me more worthy or less worthy? So if I believe that someone's comments to me makes me less worthy, then I have a problem. If I don't identify my self-worth with what this other person thinks, and have an inner sense of self-worth, then I have no problem. See? And the third is freedom. Is what is happening here limiting my freedom or allowing me to be freer, to be who I am, and do what I want. And the fourth is pleasure. Is what is happening increasing my possibilities of experiencing pleasure and joy in life, or is it limiting it? Okay. So whatever happens, or whatever we think, because the event could be something that happened in the past, or it could be a thought about the future. What's going to happen next year when I get my pension, or when am I going to be healthy? You know, so it could be something that's not even happening. A lot of people are obsessed about things that are not even happening in their life, which may or may not happen. Okay, so in this case, we will create in our own minds, in our own bodies, positive or negative feelings depending on what we believe about what is happening. Okay, and that creates, number 3, our emotions. So our emotions are created by what we believe about what is happening or what we are thinking about. And our emotions create our reactions. So we then react internally and externally. An internal reaction would be clenching my stomach, creating an ulcer, raising of my blood pressure. An external reaction would be to avoid someone, to shout at someone, to speak or not to speak, or to try to do something about the problem. Our reactions then create feelings in others, and then we have this vicious circle, and when we have to do with others, of 2 programmed robots communicating or interacting, in which my programming is reacting to the other person's programming, and often we have problems created because neither of us are conscious. Now, let's talk about these beliefs. I'd like to give you just an example about beliefs. I'd like to give you 2 short examples. One is about elephants. When elephants are babies, they put a chain around the elephant's legs and a metallic chain and a metallic spike which does not allow that elephant to move. The elephant gets programmed throughout the years, and when it becomes a large, very large and powerful being, they just put a wooden peg and a piece of rope, and the elephant cannot move. Obviously, it has the physical ability to move, but it has the programming that it cannot, because it says, there is something tied to my leg, and my experience is, and my programming is, that I can't move away from that. Sometimes they just put a peg without a rope, and the elephant stays there. Now, we are all like that elephant. We have had experiences in our childhood years which have told us that we are not worthy, that we don't know, that we are not capable. And we are today limiting ourselves by those false perceptions. I'll give you another example. This is a story. This is not true. This is a story. The elephant thing is true. Once there was a great lioness who was hunting, and she came upon a flock of sheep. And with her was her little lion cub. And in the chase, she fell off the cliff and died. And this little lion cub grew up with the sheep. And growing up with the sheep, it became programmed like a sheep. It would go ba-ba, would eat grass, it would be fearful. And one day this great lion came and started chasing this flock of sheep. And he saw this lion, which had grown up now, running away, bleeding, and crying. And he grabbed him and said, "What are you doing? Why are you behaving in this way?" He said, "Well, you're a lion, and I'm a sheep, and I am in danger from you." He said, "Come with me." And he took him down to the lake, and he said, look at yourself in the water, and look at me. What are you? What do you look like?" He said, "Well, I look like a lion." And he realized his true self. So all of us are actually very powerful spiritual beings. We have unlimited power within us. But we have been programmed by a family, a society, by TV, by magazines, to believe that we are weak, that we don't know, that we have to listen to others, that we are insecure, that life is difficult, that life is dangerous. and we have lost our true nature. Then these spiritual beings come around, like Christ, and they say, well, look, this is not true. If you had just this much faith, you could do miracles as I do. But very few people believe that. Okay? So we are here today to learn a very effective method for getting free from those wrong beliefs. And it's an energy way. Now, I have worked with cognitive therapy and with belief transformation for 30 years. And it does work. But what happens is, it works on one part of us. And there's always this other subconscious part which is doubting. So consciously, I know all of these spiritual truths. I have this faith. I'm a logical person. But if you touch one of my emotional buttons, and you trigger one of those fears I have in my subconscious, I become a dual personality. On the one hand, I am aware of the truth that I am not in danger, that I'm a good person, that I am worthy, that I know. On the other hand, I doubt and I fear. And that doubt and fear create a whole variety of other emotions. Anger, hate, jealousy, bitterness, and other emotions. Let me give you one more example, and then we'll move on to the technique. And that is how I would like to talk to you about attachment. Because we feel fearful, we become attached, mainly to people. Also, of course, to money, to objects, to places, to situations, to substances. And how does an attachment work? An attachment actually limits our freedom and limits our happiness. I'll give you an example. How do they catch monkeys in India and in South America? Very simple. You take a bottle, which is like those old milk bottles that we used to have, and which has a large base but a smaller neck, but large enough for the monkey to get his hand into the bottle. You put peanuts or a banana in there, and the monkey puts his hand in, grabs the peanuts or the banana, but the hand can't get out as long as he's grabbing this food. Now the monkey never thinks to let go of the food. And the trapper comes and picks him up and puts him in a cage. Now we are like this monkey. We have grabbed on to some things in our life. It might be a relationship or money or a substance or something, which is creating great pain for us, which has us trapped. And the only thing that we have to do is let go of the attachment. But it's so difficult. It's painful because we have invested our happiness and our security and our self-worth in this particular attachment. So we're also here today to learn a way in which we can remove the fear of letting go of these attachments which are creating suffering for us. Okay? Now, in order to explain how this technique works, I would like to talk about my theory of the 4 different systems of belief. The first system of belief is actually not a belief but an impression in the mind, and that is that it's what I called highly charged impressions in the subconscious. And that is the result of a specific event or maybe 1 or 2 events of my childhood or at some time in the past where I experienced something which made me feel great fear or panic or shock. Perhaps I was bitten by a dog or fell from a height or suddenly a loved one died or there was a car accident. And that has remained in my subconscious mind as a charged impression. That is not actually a conclusion. If you ask me, do I believe that all dogs will bite, or that I will always fall from a height, or I will always have a car accident, I will say no to you. But I can't help myself because that charge is in the subconscious in relationship to the specific event. So anytime anything happens which reminds me of that event, I experience fear or panic in some way. That's one belief system. The second belief system is our mistaken childhood conclusions. Now these usually have more roots, more experiences. If every day my mother told me that I wasn't pretty, or that I wasn't smart, or that I wouldn't do anything with my life, or behaved in a way which made me feel unworthy, or weak, or in danger, that will create in my subconscious mind the mistaken childhood conclusion or assumption that I am not worthy, or that I am not good, or that I am not able. Now the problem here is that children usually take responsibility for whatever is happening. And so if the parent is not behaving well to the child, ignoring it or beating it or abusing it or abandoning it, the child doesn't say the parent has a problem. The child doesn't even say this is an injustice. The child says to himself, I am not good. The child can only conclude that. It doesn't have the ability to understand that it is good. It is worthy of love. That it is safe and secure. It can only assume that they know better. Not only that, but children often take responsibility for parents' divorce, for parents' death, for parents' illness, for parents' unhappiness. I mean, it's a very natural conclusion in the mind of a child. So we need to heal this. This is wrong. This is illusion. This is not true. Okay? But most adults, all of us, have these mistaken childhood conclusions. So these need to be uprooted and healed. Now I have worked, as I said, 30 years on helping people identify these and then helping them to find a new alternative way of perceiving life through affirmations, through hypnosis, through various systems, childhood regressions and catharsis techniques and psychodrama and all methods. But what we see is that still there is this remaining part in the subconscious which still doubts. Okay, so because there's not, what we do on a conscious level does not always filter into the subconscious. The third belief system is the evolving conscious belief system. And that is the part of us which is logical, which observes life, and we reevaluate what we believe, and our beliefs change. Now, all of you have experienced that. There's a part of you which believes something totally different today than you believed 20 years ago. Okay, and this is good, and this is what we need to do. And this is also scientific, because science has to keep reevaluating what it believes about the nature of reality. I mean, there was a time when they threw people in jail because they said that the Earth goes around the sun and not the sun goes around the Earth. Okay. Now, the fourth belief system is our intuitive spiritual faith. Things that we believe without having proof. Belief in a divine being, belief in the immortality of the soul, belief in a ultimate justice, that is, that things happen for a reason. We don't see the reason. We're afraid that, often we don't see the reason, and we wonder what's going on here. Okay? But there is a part of us which can have that faith that, well, there must be a reason, a higher justice or wisdom than I can perceive at this moment. And if we didn't have that, we'd probably just go crazy. So, now what happens here? Our life would be much happier and healthier if we could just function with those second two belief systems. That is, with our faith and our spiritual wisdom, and with our evolving conscious belief system. The problem here is that the new information that we are getting in our faith do not filter into those previous two belief systems, that is, the highly charged impressions and the mistaken childhood conclusions, because they are enclosed, if you like, in an energy field so that we don't feel them. Otherwise, we would fall apart. I mean, if someone just opened up that box, they would not be able to function. They would not be able to work. They would be crying all day long. Every time something happened which would stimulate them, they would go to pieces. So for our own natural protection, as we grew up, we begin to suppress. Now these suppressed energy fields do not receive the new information because they are enclosed in this way. Okay? So what we're going to do with this technique is open those energy fields, release them, so that now the logic and the faith that we do have, we can experience. That logic and that faith is there. It's just that when something triggers our fears cover that. It's like a cloud covering the sun. So the sun is always there. The sun is not out today, we say. The sun is out today. The sun is always there. It doesn't go anywhere. But the clouds are not allowing us to perceive it. So the truth is within us, and the logic and the faith is within us, but the clouds of these emotions do not allow us to perceive them. So what we observe with EFT and with all forms of energy psychology is that by doing this procedure, we see a change in perception in the person. The person perceives the same event differently. Not because we have instilled a new belief, but because the belief that is in them can now be experienced in relationship to the particular event that we have chosen to work on. Because we have removed the emotional static, the clouds. So having said that, let me explain the technique to you. The technique is very simple. We focus on the emotion that we want to be free from. And it should be a specific emotion for a specific stimulus. So that I am feeling hurt or upset or fearful or angry about this. And the more specific we can be, the more effective the technique. Okay? And as we focus on that stimulus, that is what has happened or what we're thinking about, and as we focus on that emotion, we are creating the thought field, the energy field of that particular emotion for that particular stimulus. And when we are in that thought field, and that is present in our bodies and minds, then we tap on certain acupuncture points, and that causes the energy to begin to move. That's why it's called energy psychology. And that moving energy decrystallizes that field. So that field is a crystallization. I am crystallized in anger. I am crystallized in fear, you see. That's a structure, an energy structure. There are many other ways to feel and to perceive this event. Okay? So by tapping on these points, as we are focused on that, we decrystallize that and we create a healthy, a harmonious, a more natural way of experiencing it. We remove the charge of the past about this particular situation. Now, it could be an emotion. It could be a physical phenomenon. That is, it could be a pain in my neck, my shoulder, my eyes, my abdomen. It could be a desire. That is, a desire for a substance of some kind. It could be a physical state based on a sensitivity to a substance. So it could be like my sensitivity to corn or to wheat or to pollen or something like that. And it could be just in an energy state, such as tiredness or anxiety or nervousness. Okay? So we can choose any energy phenomena. Emotions, pain, desire, physical phenomena in relationship to substances, or just an energy state. We focus on that, and as we are focused on that, we tap on specific points. Now, before we tap, what we do is we evaluate the intensity of the phenomena from 0 to 10. And that is called the SUD, subjective units of discomfort or of distress or of disturbance, whatever you choose to think of it as. Now, 0 means I'm fine, nothing is there. 10 means it's the highest upset that I can experience. Now, there could be higher than 10, but maybe I haven't experienced it yet. Okay. Having evaluated that, then what we do is we correct for psychological reversal. Now, what is psychological reversal? It's the tendency in some people not to want to change for the better. There may be an invested interest or a secondary gain or a form of self-sabotage. Even though we are feeling unhappy, there's a part of us which cannot accept happiness. I remember one woman I was working with, we were working for about a half an hour, and then we came to the point just to realize that she was afraid to be happy. And she was afraid to be happy because in her childhood, she had sudden traumatic experiences when she was happy. So she learned to identify happiness with impending pain. So better not to be happy, because every time I'm happy, something horrible happens. And we even have that in our language. Someone says, well, everything is going well, knock on wood, you know. This whole idea that if you really say that everything is wonderful, probably something horrible is going to happen. So that's one form of psychological reversal. Another is, I don't deserve something better. I'm not a good girl. I'm not a good boy. I don't deserve to be loved. I don't deserve happiness. I don't deserve health. Okay? That's another form of psychological reversal. Another would be, people won't pay attention to me if I'm okay. As long as I'm not okay, I will get their attention. Or I won't be able to control people if I'm happy. I control them by my nagging, by my complaining, by my problems. So there are all kinds, and in my book, let's do that for a minute. In this book I list for each possible problem a list of possible forms of psychological reversal for that particular problem. You know, whether it's a relationship problem, or a self-acceptance problem, or a health problem, or a fear, whatever it may be. I give you ideas about what kinds of psychological reversal may exist for that particular problem. That's important to know, because one of the main obstacles towards getting well with any kind of therapy, even if you're receiving a surgery or medicine or massage or whatever it is, or psychotherapy, if the subconscious has a benefit by not getting well, nothing is going to change. Okay? Now, some ways to correct psychological reversal. One simple way for some people is to use the Bach flower remedies, the rescue remedy. That sometimes will help. You would take 4 drops of that just before you do the technique. But because you can't have that with you all the time, we have other ways which are perhaps even more effective. One way is tapping on this karate point here, this point here on the side of the hand, and that helps the energy to change. Now the idea here is that there is actually a polarity change. That is that the positive becomes the negative, and the negative becomes the positive. And that we need to correct that polarity change. And for some reason, they have found that tapping on this point helps to change that, correct it. If your polarity is correct, it will not reverse it to be negative. So don't worry about doing it if you're not reversed. So it will work only if you are reversed. It will correct you. It will not do the opposite. Now, in order to increase the effectiveness of this, we use 2 phrases. which encompass two basic ideas about change. The first is, even though I have this problem, even though I fear, even though I'm angry, even though I have this pain in my neck or my eyes, I love and accept myself. This is very important, because the prerequisite for change is the acceptance of the present reality. I need to accept and love myself with my fear, with my anger, with my bitterness, with my pain, with my desires, before I can change. So even if you don't believe it, just say it. And the more emphatically that you can say it, the better. Even though I'm really angry at my child, I love and accept myself. I love and completely love and accept myself. You can change it. You can say, I love and I profoundly love and accept myself. Anyway, you just have to have the idea of self-acceptance. Okay? And then the other side, other way, I tap on the other side then and say, I choose to be free from this. You see, so I'm accepting myself, but I also choose to be free from this anger towards my child, or this fear of heights, or this pain in my head. Okay. Now, I choose could be expressed differently. I deserve to be free. I accept being free. It's in my benefit to be free. Sometimes I use that about anger with people. I mean, it's in my benefit to be free from this anger, which is only hurting me more than, or this hate, which is bothering me, you see. Okay. Or this guilt. Another form of psychological reversal was that, especially with guilt, I had one woman who said to me at a seminar, if I let go of my guilt, I'm going to feel guilty. You see, because I will feel guilty about not feeling guilty. You see. Okay, so we have to work on that, letting go of that guilt, you see. Okay, so one aspect is, even though I have this, I love and accept myself, and the other is I choose to be free, or I deserve to be free, or I'm becoming free, or it's in my benefit to be free. Okay? That is called the setup. So what is the setup? It's I focus on the issue, I experience my emotion or pain or whatever it is, I evaluate it from 0 to 10, and I correct for psychological reversal. Now, there's not always psychological reversal, but we don't know when it is and when it's not. We could test, we could do arm testing to see if it is. It'll take longer to test than to just correct it. Okay? Now, another way of correcting is by rubbing on what is called the sore spot, which if you go in this notch in the neck just above the sternum, and you go down about 3 inches, and then about 3 inches to the right or to the left, it doesn't matter, and just rub that point, and we do the same thing. Rubbing, and there's some lymph nodes there. You shouldn't rub too hard, but just enough to massage the area. And you say, even though I have this, I love and accept myself. We say that 3 times. And then on the other side, 3 times, I want to be free from this. I choose to be free from this. I desire, I deserve to be free from this. It's in my benefit to be free from you. Whatever words are comfortable for you and suit the situation. Okay? So 3 times rubbing, 3 times the phrase on the one side, 3 times the phrase on the other side. It may not take 3 times, but now that you're beginning, just try it out, and gradually your intuition will guide you. Okay? No, I have heard that it's better with the right hand to do the left side if you're going to do only one. But I do both sides anyway. I do I love and accept myself on this side, and I choose to be free on the other side. Okay. Okay, so that is the setup. Okay, so that's 3 ways I've told you about correcting psychological reversal: the rescue remedy, the tapping on the side of the hand, or the rubbing on the sore spot. There is another way, which we will see if we have time to show you today, which is for deeper and more persistent psychological reversal, but it's complicated, and we'll see if we have time. It's called collarbone breathing. It's in the book. You can read about it if I don't have time to show it. Okay. Now, the second stage of the employment of the technique is the tapping procedure. Now, I'm going to show you the classical tapping procedure, and then immediately I'm going to show you the shorter and more effective version that we're using today, which most EFT practitioners. But I want to show you the original one so that you understand. Okay? So, although there are 14 meridians, we're actually going to be tapping on 12 of them. And these points are the beginnings or the ends of the meridians. But you can see that on the one sheet that I've given you there, which shows a picture of the acupuncture point. You can see the acupuncture meridians here. And I have made darker the places where we will be tapping, which as you see are at the beginning or at the ends of these energy lines. Okay? And you see that most of them are on the face. There's 2 on the chest area here, 1 under the arms, and then the rest of them are on the fingers. Okay? And I will be showing you those points now, and you will learn how to stimulate these points while you're focused on the energy field. Now, you could also stimulate them by rubbing. You should also stimulate them by touching them and focusing on them. You could also stimulate them mentally. There are some people that eventually prefer to mentally go through the points. But my suggestion would be that for a few months, do the tapping, get very connected to those fields. And then there are times when you may be lying down and you don't feel like tapping, or you may be sitting somewhere and you're bashful to start tapping yourself all over the place. And you can do it mentally. Okay? Okay, so now which are the traditional 12 EFT points? First point here on the side of the eyebrow, where the eyebrow meets the nose, the bridge of the nose. It's not up here in the third eye. It's not down here under the eye. It's not over the eye. It's in the corner. Corner where the eyebrow meets the bridge of the nose. Okay, that's the first point. Then the second point is on the temple, the side of the eyes here. And then under the eye, on the cheekbone here, is the stomach meridian. Very important one. For fear, for anxiety, for addiction. Then under the nose, the governing vessel. And then the conception vessel under the lips, here on the chin. Okay, now those are the face points. Okay? The next point is under the arm here. It's the spleen. It's about horizontal with the nipple, but just a little lower. Okay? And then there's the collarbone point. Now this is the one that most people confuse. See, the collarbone is coming down here. It's uniting with the sternum, and it's right under the collarbone and to the right or the left. You can choose either side. And it's in that soft space, right there, just under the collarbone and just to the right or the left of the sternum. I can check you later if you're not sure. Okay? Now don't confuse that point with the psychological reversal point, which is down here. Okay? So this is where we were rubbing earlier, further down and further out, and this is where we were tapping. The one point is for reversal, and the other is for getting the energy going. Okay? Now, then we have the hand points. So it's if we have our hands towards ourselves, it's on the upper part. Okay, so it's where the skin meets the nail at the end of the thumb. And where the skin meets the nail on the index finger, and then on the middle finger, and then on the little finger, and then on the side of the hand. Okay? So that's stage 2. Let me just show you that one more time. Eyebrow, temple, cheek, under the nose, on the chin, under the arm, on the collarbone, on the thumb, the index finger, the middle finger, the little finger, and then the side of the hand. The place that we originally did for psychological reversal. That's one of the tapping points also. Okay? So those are 12 points. So the second stage of EFT is while we are focused on this particular emotion, about this particular stimulus, we are simultaneously tapping on these points and getting the energy moving, decrystallizing the structure of that emotional energy field. Now, in order to keep ourselves locked in to that emotion, we repeat what we call the reminder phrase. So the reminder phrase is just 2 or 3 words which remind us of what we're tapping about. And so we can repeat them verbally. Anger at my child. Anger at my child. Fear of water. Or fear of heights. Or this back pain. This back pain, you see. You would choose one, though. You wouldn't change like I'm changing. I'm giving you a possibility. So every point that I tap at, I repeat the name of the issue that I'm working on. I say the emotion and the stimulus. So fear of rats. Anger about what my mother said. Okay? Pain in the arm. And if you have pain, if you have 3 pains, you should work on one only at each time. So, because if you focused on many different emotions or many different physical phenomena, you're going to be presenting in your body mixed energy fields, and it's not going to work. You see, you have to have, it's like trying to listen to 5 radio stations simultaneously. You can't get anything. You see, so you've got to be focused on one thing is to say hurt because people criticize me. Another is to say hurt because my mother criticizes me. Another is to say hurt because my mother criticizes me for the way I bring up my children. And even more specific, hurt because my mother criticizes the way I feed my children. Understand? We're getting more and more and more specific. And the more specific you become about the specific emotion and event, the better results you get. Always, for me, EFT works like a law, just as gravity works like a law. There's nothing in this room which is exempt from gravity. Okay? It's a law. So for me, EFT always works. You may not believe it now. If it's not working, it's because the person is not being specific enough. He's bunching in a whole number of emotions and a whole number of events, and that's why he's not getting events. If we work on a specific thing, we always get results. Okay, now, except for physical problems, it will help physical problems only to the degree that the physical problem is a function of an emotional or energy problem. If I've got a mechanical destruction of a bone or muscle or something, it may help remove the pain, but it's not going to solve the actual problem. To the degree that a physical problem is emotional or energy, which a great number are, it will help. Okay? Okay, so that's the second step. The third step seems a little bit funny. And actually, to be truthful, it's one of the reasons why I rejected technique in the beginning, not only because it didn't fit my belief system, but I felt silly showing it to people. Okay? And so the silly part of this is this. Tapping on what is called the gamut point here, okay? This is between the 2 small knuckles up towards the knuckles there, that point, and doing the following procedure, closing the eyes, opening the eyes, looking down to the left or to the right, doesn't matter, down to the right, making a circle with the eyes, making a circle in the other direction, doing humming, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and humming. That's one employment of the gamut series. And that's the third stage. Now, the truth is that as EFT has evolved, we don't always use that part. Sometimes it is necessary, sometimes it is not. What does that part do? That part balances the energy from right to left and balances the communication between the right and left hemispheres of the brain. By looking to the right, looking to the left, circle to the right, circle to the left, stimulating the one part of the brain with the humming and the other part with the counting, two different kind of mental functions, humming and counting. So that creates a balancing of the energies that we have just released by the tapping. You see? So we have, you see here, three functions. The psychological reversal corrects the polarity, the tapping gets the energy moving, and the gamma series balances the energy. So an experienced EFT practitioner may not always use the gamma series, or may leave it to the end just to balance things, because he knows when he needs to use it or she needs to use it. But I would say that in your beginning use of EFT, you should use it as I am expressing it to you. And then gradually you can make your own decisions about that. Okay, that's the third stage. And the fourth stage is the same as the second. And that is tapping on the 12 points. And that's all written down for you on this sheet. Okay? Emotional freedom therapy. And you see the points on this sheet, and you see the stages. Okay? You see the gamut series. Okay, so the one employment, one round of EFT consists of 4 stages. The setup, the tapping, the gamma series, and then tapping again. Now when we're tapping on the second and fourth stage, we repeat the reminder phrase, this anger, or this pain, or this bitterness, this jealousy, this guilt, whatever we are working on. Okay? Now, once we have completed one round, then we reevaluate. We close our eyes. I like to close my eyes. I like to ask people I'm working with to close their eyes, but it's not necessary. And focus on that issue. And reevaluate my disturbance about that issue, or the pain, or whatever, or my desire, from 0 to 10. Okay? So, now, if there are 3 possibilities. One possibility is that it went up. That can happen sometimes. Why? When would that happen? That would happen when I have repressed something. Okay? And so by tapping, I'm getting into better contact with it. And so an anger that I thought was 5 now becomes 10. That's possible. There's about, I would say, 10% of the situations in which we may have a slight emotional crisis. In such a case, we should keep on tapping in order to release that. Okay? Of course, it must be noted that every person has to take responsibility for their own health and their own happiness and mental balance. And if you feel that this is bringing up something you can't handle, then stop. I cannot have responsibility for what you're going to do on yourself. You should all have a person that you can consult in these cases. And if you feel that what is coming up is more than you can handle, then just stop. Go to your psychologist, your psychotherapist, your doctor, whoever it is. Talk to them about it and decide whether you should continue or not. If I'm working with someone, I don't tell them to stop. I keep working with them because I am confident that I can get them through that. But I cannot be with you. You understand what I mean? And if someone is by themselves, then they may not be able to work through it. They may bring up more than they can deal with. In which case, you should just stop and go to a practitioner or to your whoever is helping you with your physical or emotional life. I cannot be responsible for that. Okay? So, although I will say that of all the techniques that I have used throughout the years, this brings up less problems than the other. Okay, now, the second possibility is that it hasn't changed. It's the same as it was. And the third possibility is that my tension has gone down. That what was a 10 has become a 5. Okay? In the case that there is a reduction in the emotion, or the physical problem, or the desire, whatever it is, symptoms, then I use the word remaining. I use it in the setup, and I use it in the tapping procedure. So I say, even though I have some remaining anger at my husband or wife, I love and accept myself. And I say that 3 times. Then I say, on the other side, I choose to be free from this remaining anger, or this remaining guilt, or this remaining pain, whatever it may be. Now, why do we do this? Because we are addressing ourselves here to the possibility of a mini reversal. Now, what is a mini reversal? The subconscious says, okay, I agree not to be so angry, but not to be angry at all. Okay? Because anger is the only way I can protect myself. Okay? I'm not going to let this guy off the hook. So, yeah. Or my subconscious says, okay, I don't have to feel so guilty, but not guilty at all. Okay? Or okay, I agree not to have so much pain, but not to be painless. Okay? So that's why we use the word remaining. So I want to get free from this remaining, whatever is left here. Okay? You can even say, I choose to be totally free from this remaining anger or bitterness or pain or desire, whatever it may be. Remember, you can rub here or you can tap here. It's the same thing. And then we do around that way. Then when we're tapping, we say remaining anger, or remaining fear, or remaining pain in my back, remaining pain in my back. You see, we're tapping on the points, and we're repeating the word remaining. Now, you could do that mentally. For physical problems, you might not have to say it. You could just focus on that part of your body, as long as you're tuned in there. And sometimes you don't need to say it all the time for emotional things, but you've got to be focused on the issue. Okay, that's the important thing. So we complete the second round, and then we evaluate again. You say, okay, where am I now? I think about it, or I focus on that part of the body, or I think about the event which is bothering me, or the issue, and I evaluate it from 0 to 10. If it hasn't become 0, I do another round. And I keep doing this until I bring it to 0. Now, there are some issues which go to 0 like that. And it's not always the little issues. Sometimes it's the big issues. Because it doesn't matter how intense my fear or phobia or emotion is, or how long I have had it. What matters as far as this technique goes is how many roots it has. So I could have a fear of height that has only one root, one experience. And when I work on that, even though I've had it for 50 years and it's intense, I'm cured. You have seen a lot of it. That's why Dr. Callahan, the originator of this technique, has written a book called The 5-Minute Phobia Cure. Because he can, and we can, and you can, cure some phobias in 5 minutes. Other issues may take longer time. There are some issues which may take longer time and you can do them by yourself with no problem. But there may be just a few that you need help with. Not because the other person is so much more knowledgeable than you, but that the other person will just keep you on it. You know what I mean? Just keep. I mean, if you do it by yourself, you might get tired, you might get discouraged, you might say, oh, I've been working on it for a few days and I'm not getting anywhere. But if you have someone that can help you, maybe you'll keep on it. And secondly, sometimes, especially with deeper emotions, we need to go to childhood experiences. Because what I'm experiencing today is the result of something that I experienced in the past. And so I need to tap actually on what I felt as a child, or what I feel now when I remember what happened to me. Almost always when I'm working with someone with a problem that they have with a spouse, or with anybody in their lives today, almost immediately go to the childhood years in order to clear up those childhood experiences. And then when we come back to the present experience, it's gone. There's the sensitivity towards what's happening. Doesn't really matter. I mean, big deal. I've been giving energy to this all these years, you know. But I could not stop giving that energy until I healed the childhood experience. And this is very effective at that. However, you have to be careful about childhood experiences. They can be very fortified, charged, and sometimes you may need to have someone help you. You can help each other. you have someone with you, that will help. Okay, so if a problem is not getting healed, I would say after 10 rounds. Now we're talking here about 10 rounds means about 50 minutes, okay? Which could mean in one day or broken up in some days. Then I would suspect that there is some blockage. Now we're talking here about problems which in psychotherapy either would never be healed or would take 5 years of talking and talking about it. So I'm talking about 50 minutes when in reality, with all the systems that we know now, we're talking about 5 and 10 years. And I have to tell you that Dr. Callahan, the originator of this technique, after he discovered, he was very rich. Before he discovered, he was very rich. He had this big house with a pool in California. And after he discovered it, he went bankrupt. Because he got rich by having people come to him for years, talking and talking and talking about their problems. And now he was curing them in one session. And they didn't say to him, oh, Dr. Callahan, take $5,000 because this would have taken that much time to heal me. But they just paid for one session. So he had to start finding ways to survive. So, you know, some psychologists may not want to be too effective. But I think that there's plenty of pain in the world, and that the important thing is to help people get as quickly as possible over their pain.